Now, in my editorial, I point to the fact that it's a little unusual for Harry to only have 45 minutes with the King as part of a 24-hour round trip from the States and London and back. What indication does that give you as to the relationship between Harry and his family? And is that an improvement in things, or does it still show those significant signs of strain?
Well, it's an interesting point because you could look at it on either side of the coin, couldn't you? Because Harry flying over to the UK, 8,000 miles to only spend 25 hours in the country. You know, we're talking 45 minutes or 30 minutes with his father. It doesn't seem an awful long time at all. They hadn't come face to face for a good 16 months because if you remember when Harry was over here for the coronation, he didn't spend any time with the King or the rest of the family. Again, very, very quick 24-hour trip in and out back to the US. However, it sort of half spoke to me about the seriousness of the King's condition, that Harry wanted to come over and be by his father's side. 30 minutes or not, 45 minutes or not, it's interesting that he took that action. However, you know, we understand that the relationships have been very, very fractured over the last couple of years. They still remain to be. There are an awful lot of ill feeling in the camp about whether people should be forgiving and forgetting Harry for writing the books, for doing the Oprah Winfrey interviews, for taking part in all these broadcasts. So whilst the King may be focusing on his rest, recuperation, his recovery from his cancer diagnosis, I think it'll be a very different ball game for other members of the family. So Harry might still be out in the wilderness a little bit, and I suppose time will tell.
And of course, I suppose the question mark is whether the visit between King Charles and Prince Harry stays as something that's private or whether it becomes fodder for public consumption, commercialisation, as we've seen before. Do you think this time will be different?
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Because, I mean, Harry has sort of run roughshod over his whole family. We're talking about his memoir. Nobody was, excuse the pun, spared from his barbs. And I think that was a big issue for the rest of the family, of whether they would sort of let him back into the camp, whether anything they say may be used against them in evidence in future interviews or books. I mean, Harry said himself he had enough material to work on another book. Is that in the pipeline? It's definitely a real concern for other members of the family. However, I definitely think that this meeting between him and the King will remain sort of secret for now, because I think that Harry does want a new reconciliation, a new relationship with the King and the rest of the royal family. So, yeah, I do think he'll keep it quiet.
Oh, let's hope so, because I think we're probably due, Russell. Now, in and amongst the current upheaval, like we discussed earlier, the rest of the royal family is still getting on with business. We understand that this year's Earthshot Prize is heading to South Africa. Tell us about that.
Well, what a fine city as well. And I followed the Shot Prize around the world, going to South Africa. Huge opportunities every single year to sort of expand this brand for Prince William, this big environmental prize project that he has created to try and change the world, essentially, trying to sort of solve the big climate crisis issue of our time. And as I said, it's straight out the playbook from the John F. Kennedy era, the Moonshot Project. He's created this Earthshot Prize to try and change the world for the better. So we're heading to South Africa. It should be in November. No confirmation, of course, of whether the Prince and Princess of Wales would be going. One would imagine if Princess Kate still can't travel, if she's still sort of laid up because of her illness by that time, it's still a long way away, but one would imagine William will still go. But no confirmation as yet, but plenty to look forward to later on in the year.
Russell Myers, as always, thank you so much for joining us.